Hey YouTubers, well I got a video review for you today. This one's from a company called EZ Kut. This is their Kamikaze extending pole saw. It extends out to 20 feet. It's got a really sharp blade on it. You know, it just seems like a really nice saw. I've not used it yet, so we're going to test it out together. Now I do have a lot of experience with pole saws and stuff. I've got two gas powered and I've got a 5 extending pole saw, and you know, I think it only goes up to maybe 12 or 15 feet. And then about a little over a month ago, I bought a 30-foot pole saw off of Amazon because I had a Bradford pear tree in my front yard. It had some limbs on it that needed to be cut, and there was an ice storm coming, so I hurried up and ordered one on Amazon. It was one of the ones that screwed together like a pipe thread, and it was fiberglass poles with metal ends on it, and you screwed it together, and it had a distance of 30 foot. But to try to use that thing, it was not practical. I used it just to cut a handful of limbs. It took me 2 afternoons, and it was too heavy and it was just too flimsy, and the poles just kept unscrewing, and it was more of a hassle than what the thing was worth. And it had a blade on one side. On the other side it had a pruner with a string on it where you pull it and it cuts. Well, the pruner didn't work, and then just after 2 days, some of the hardware I got lost. I held the blade on, and then when I was trying to saw, you know, the thing would come unscrewed, and so this thing was just a piece of junk. And so I sent it back to Amazon, and yeah, I paid about I think about $89 for it. You know, it was junk. Now, did I get my tree cut? Yes, I did. I got it in time before the ice got there, so I wouldn't have any damage to my roof or anything. But like I said, I sent it back, and I immediately reached out to this company here, EZ Kut, and I told them, I said, hey, you guys send me a saw, I'll do an honest review on it. They thought about it, and they decided to send me one out, so I'm bringing you guys the review today. When I pulled it out of the package, I was pretty impressed. I mean, it looks like it's made out of really nice materials. It seems very strong, and the blade is amazing. I'll be honest, I was a little worried up front just because I seen that this was plastic here where it locks, and so if that's a concern, don't be concerned with that, because this part right here is really strong. It's not cheap plastic. It's very, very, very strong. And so if you look here on the bottom, you've got a nice rubber grip handle, and it's got some little grooves in it, so you know, if your hands was to get sweaty, you're still going to be able to get a nice grip on it. So that's one thing that I did notice right off the bat. The pole is not round. It's more of like an oblong, so it's going to be strong. So right here, you've got this little locking tab, and you take and you open this up, and it's got some tension to it, so it takes a little bit of force to open it and close it. But you just take and open it up, and then you take and mash this button down, and you see it's spring loaded, and then you can extend it out. And then once you find that locking position that you want it in, this spring-loaded piece has a pin that goes down into the hole, and then you would think that would be good enough, but no, you push this locking tab over, and so now it's double locked. So this is not gonna twist, slide, or any of that. It's gonna be locked down. So I do like that feature. Anyways, it just makes adjusting it quick and easy. So I like that fact that it's easy to adjust. Now again, I've not tried it as a saw yet. I've just been playing around with it. Like I said, we're going to test it out here. But you can see there's a latch right here, and then there's also another one right here above it that you open, and you can extend it out even further. So you've got 2 sections here that you can extend out. Now, when I got it in the mail, the blade was not attached to the pole. So the only assembly that you'll have to do is attach right here these 2 little bolts hooked to these nylock nuts here on the back, and all you need tool wise is just a little flathead screwdriver. So I attached it, and yeah, it seems to be pretty strong. Now you can see right here it comes with this sheath, and it has Kamikaze written on it right there. And the reason that, you know, it's called Kamikaze is because it's made out of Japanese steel, and the tooth design on the steel and the cutters there are a Japanese design. And I thought, oh, whoop-de-doo, you know, until I pulled it out of the sheath here, and I seen just what they were talking about. It's no lie, this thing is super, super sharp. Now it comes with this sheath to protect it, to protect the blade, and also to protect you, because when I say it's sharp, it is very sharp. way sharper than the one that I got on Amazon. No comparison. So the way that you take the sheath off is very simple. Right here, there's a little tab that you just mash down, and then you just pull, and it's got a roller on the inside, like a little black roller there that it rides on, and so it slides in and out of there easy. And then you can see right here, here's this blade, and it is, like I said, very sharp. I can just barely touch it with my skin, and I can feel it just picking my skin, and I'm just lightly touching it. So if that gives you any idea of how sharp it is. Now, one thing that I did notice when I flipped the blade over, you can see it right here, that it sharpened right here as well, and then right here at the top it's sharpened. Now, I gotta say, I can't wait to try it just to see how good it cuts, but I can tell you for a fact it is sharp. So anyways, let's see how strong the blade is and see if it buckles on me, or see just how sharp it is and see how fast it cuts. So here we go. And like I said, this is about a 3-inch limb, pretty hefty limb. And here we go, it's coming down. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but you can see right up underneath that saw blade, that sawdust is coming out of there pretty quick, so I know it's cutting. Look at that. So there you go. Now I gotta say, it cut pretty fast for a limb that big, compared to all the other saws. I mean, ain't nothing bad I can say about the blade. That was pretty quick for a 3-inch limb like that. You can see it left a nice clean cut as well. So the one thing that I did notice was, it's got this little hooked area here and here. Some saw blades don't have that. They're just you got the teeth all the way to the end instead of having the hook in them. And so I found that when I'm cutting with that, I end up pulling it too far and it falls off, and then you have to adjust it and put the blade back up on there in the groove that you've been cutting, where this one here just kind of stays in that same groove. So those little hooks on each end are very important. So let's go on to the next test. Let's cut something a little higher. So this is shagbark hickory, and so I'm going to start towards the top there, and I've got this saw extended out a pretty good ways. It's not fully extended, but it's close. And you can see I've went ahead, I've got it hooked up there, and I'm just going to go ahead and start cutting. So here we go. So you guys can see right there, I mean, my hand can't even fit all the way around it. Pretty decent sized limb, and didn't have any problems when I cut that thing in no time. I mean, literally less than a minute. All right, so I got another oak here, and I'm not trying to cut any huge ones. I'm just showing you, how fast you can change between the length. So I just want to cut this little limb right here, but I literally 3 or 4 cuts and it's down. I'm gonna go ahead and move to this limb right here, and you can see it's gonna require me to extend this out a little bit further. And when I do the extending, I try to extend the top section out first, because if you do the bottom one first, it makes it a little heavier up here at the top of the blade, and so you want to try to make it as easy on you as possible. And so I'm going to extend the top part out first, and so I'm going to extend it out, and you can see it's very easy to extend, and that's as far as it goes right now. I'm just going to lock it in place, and let's see if that's enough. And you can see right there, that limb's probably, I'm guessing, 2 inches, maybe a little more. Made a nice clean cut. Again, only took like 30 seconds or less to cut it down. You can see, I mean, when I tell you that thing cuts. It really does a good job. I gotta say, out of all the saws I've ever used, it's by far the sharpest. So they wasn't joking about the Kamikaze blade, and you know, the Japanese blade design and all that. That was not just some selling gimmick. It really is a sharp blade. See how good it cuts. Give you another close look. As you can see, it didn't take but a second to cut it, and it's a nice clean cut. So I've got a maple here, and it's a fairly low limb. I just wanted to take this one off, and I'm trying to get a couple different species of trees so you can see, you know, if there's any kind of difference with the cut, and you know, if this one is going to bind up or something like that. I've not tried a soft wood yet, so I'm gonna go find something that's softer here in a minute than this maple. Let's give this one a shot. We're gonna cut this one low to the ground right here and just see how it does. And again, only takes just a couple of seconds. You seen it didn't have no problems cutting that. Next, I've got a pine. We'll see how it does. They come down pretty quick. I mean, that was just a couple seconds. All right, so for the next test, we're gonna extend it all the way out as far as it'll go. And again, very easy to do. Just mash the button there. Once you unlock it, then right there, that's it. So you want to take and fold this back over and lock it. Then you want to take and open this one up, mash the button there. And then just lock it. That's it. It's locked in place. And that's as far as it'll go. This is 20 foot. Now I will go ahead and tell you that one that I bought off of Amazon, when I got that thing out to 20 and 30 foot, it was so floppy, and it was made out of fiberglass. The pole was made out of fiberglass with the metal end, and it was just so heavy and floppy, you couldn't do anything with it. I mean, you just couldn't do anything. And when you try to saw with it, it would bounce because the pole was so floppy and heavy. It would just bounce off the tree. And you know, I did get it cut, but again, it took 2 long afternoons of cutting. And so let's see how far I can get this one up there. Let's see if we can get this one up there. Oh yeah. So we're gonna put this thing to the test. You can see I'm all the way to the bottom here. So here we go. And immediately, there's nowhere near the bounce like that other one. Of course, there's some bounce, but nothing like, and look, it's already come down. That whole limb is down. Literally took me maybe 30 seconds to cut that. I promise it would have probably took me 5 or 10 minutes to at least cut that one with that other one. So I know this thing is a lot faster, and I'm excited about it because this is a much better product. Now this product here, a lot more money than the one I bought for like $89, $90, somewhere in there. This one here is like $200 and almost $300, between $200 and $300. But I gotta say, the quality of it is a lot better, and it adjusts a lot easier. Like before, like I said, I was having to unscrew the different poles. It would just be time consuming, and like I said, it was heavy, and it just didn't seem very strong to me. And so I felt like I wasted a lot of time tightening poles and worrying if the thing was going to break on me. Now, as always with me and my crazy reviews, I try to put things to the test just to show you that it does what it says it can do, and this is no exception. I've got a pine here, and you can see I can't even get my hands not even halfway around it. You know, let's just see if this saw will cut through it. I think that it will. We can test it out and see, and we'll see how long it takes me to cut it. timber. Again, this saw is not made to cut something so big. I'm just trying to show you guys at home that I'm not joking about this thing being sharp. I think this is pretty impressive, even if it is a pine. All right, so next, I didn't want to leave out the hardwood. And so this one here is the yellow birch, and we Googled it. It said it was slightly less hard than a red oak. And so, it's still pretty hard wood. So I wanted to put this all to the test, and you've seen I cut the big pine. I just wanted to cut something that was hardwood, and this tree has to come down anyway, so I don't want you guys to think I'm just running around the woods cutting trees down for no reason. This is a construction site, and they're going to clear this out. And so anyways, I just wanted to test it out right here. So here we go. I know it's not made to cut a whole tree, but I'm just trying to prove a point that this joker is sharp. So here we go, guys. Timber. You see, that's a nice smooth cut. Didn't have any problems. And again, proving my point, the blade on this thing is worth the money. I just wanted to give you guys my final thoughts on the EZ Kut Kamikaze, and I gotta say, pretty impressed. I was shocked that it cut as well as it did. One thing that I failed to mention is on the other saw, the Fiskars and or Fiskars, whatever you want to call it, and that Chinese saw that I ordered off of Amazon, one thing that annoys me about those was the hardware right in here would stick out, and it would seem like it would get caught on every freaking limb imaginable. And then also, like I said, there's had a pruner on the back of it with a string, and it seemed, now the Fiskars one worked okay, but it just seemed to get caught up in a lot, but the Chinese one, where the blade bolted on, the hardware was sticking out, and it seemed like it got caught on every limb. And the blade had the curve in it, but it just wasn't sharp. Now I noticed this one here, when it hit up against the tree, it was actually leaving a cut mark in the tree. The one that I got from China, it looked sharp, but it wasn't really sharp on the edges. Now the blade part was sharp, but nothing like this. I mean, that's a night and day difference. But right here where it attaches, on the Chinese saw that I sent back to Amazon, I lost a bolt and nut off this. And the way that they've got this designed, where you won't get snagged on anything. These bolt heads here are recessed, and then right here on the back, you've got the plastic there is wrapped around those nuts, and so you don't even have to put a wrench on the back. You just put the nut on there and tighten it up, and then, like I said, it's not going to get snagged on any limbs. So I like that. And if that, that'll be of more importance when you actually use the saw, because trust me, when you got that thing extended out 20 foot and you're trying to saw a limb, the last thing you want to do is get caught in some little bitty, brushy type limbs that make it difficult for you to operate the saw back and forth. So I do like that. As far as being able to easily adjust from one setting to the next, again, mash the button and you got the little locks, and it locks in place very easy, and then you just fold that over, and there's no play in it. I mean, literally, there's no play. And then to unlock it, just unlock that, mash that button, and when you mash that button right there, you can see it raises up that pin on the inside, and lets you lock it in place. So yeah, just seems to work really good, and very impressed for a saw like this. And there wasn't nothing that we tried today that that it wouldn't cut down. I mean, literally, we cut some pretty big trees for a little pole saw like this. All right, now I went ahead and checked their website. This thing retails for like $281. So I know it's not going to be for everybody. Not everybody wants to spend $281 on a pole saw. But if you're that one person that uses one all the time, or if you want something that's easy to use, I would definitely get it because it does work amazing. And with it being 8 pounds, this one's a lot easier to manage than a lot of the other saws. Anyways, appreciate you guys watching this video. Hope it was informative to you. If you got any questions, you know, just put it down in the comments. If you got one of these, let me know how you like it. Let me know how you don't like it. If there's something that went wrong, or you know, if there's a problem, put it in the comment. You know, I'm excited to read everything that you guys send, and you know, that's how, you know, companies learn how to make things better, is by, you know, calling out things that break. But I don't think you'll have any problems with this one. I think they've got this one pretty well figured out, and you'll be disappointed with it. So anyways, I'll put a link to their website and a link to this product. And you know, thanks for watching, guys. I hope I at least give you an informed video and showed you some real world tests instead of some fancy editing and all that. You know, I ain't about that. It's just an honest review. So thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, see ya. Please like and subscribe.